The Himalayas. The West named India after Indus, but Himalayas would have been a better geographical descriptor. Around 50 million years ago, that is 15 million years after dinosaur extinction, the Indian landmass sailed 6,000 kilometers from the vicinity of Australia, rammed the Eurasian plate, and folded the intervening ground into mountains like a newly arrived neighbor raising a fence. And the Himalayas have been more than a great wall to India since. They were a deterrent to invaders and a shield against biting cold winds from the north, but they kept in the bountiful monsoon without which India would be a dry country. Add to this ledger of gifts biodiversity, natural beauty, and gigawatts of hydropower. Also, their role in mythology, religion, and history, and it becomes clear that we are Himalayan in more ways than we realize. That is why each report of rain induced devastation in the mountains questions our filial love. Jammu is in the news now, but Himachal and Uttarakhand have suffered floods and landslides daily. The northeast faced a destructive spell early in the season. Some of the causes of this widespread and recurring devastation are beyond our control. Himalayas are the youngest major mountain range, still rising at an average rate of 1 centimeter per year. So, like juvenile bones, they can't withstand nature's fury. We have known this for as long as we have known the Himalayas. Traditional hill homes, temples, forts, and palaces relied on a disaster proof mud and timber architecture. The British, when they made the Shimla Railway, took care to keep it light and avoid water buildup in the hillsides beside the tunnels. Now we have thrown caution to wind. We build a dharali on the riverbed, ignore warnings at Kishtwar, raise high rises in Shimla, fell trees, and commission expressways to the tree line. We dream of a rainbow with a hotel and a pot of gold at its end, only to get stuck like the 2,500 vehicles stranded across the Bias on night. The Himalayas are telling us they don't like it. Please pay heed. Thanks for listening. That is why each report of rain induced devastation in the mountains questions our filial love. FILIAL, filial love means the deep affection, loyalty, and emotional bond that a child feels for their parents. Thanks for listening. Next. Silence is golden, but India is nerve wrackingly loud. The old saying is a scabbard can't fit two swords may seem pointless in this age. London has launched a campaign to urge headphone dodgers to plug in on buses and trains because the vast majority of passengers, that is 70%, do not like second hand entertainment. They have got strict laws against it. 2 years ago, a man was fined £300, but they are trying to spare the rod now. The French, who fined a man €200 for making a speaker call at a train station in February. In India, we won't know where to start. Punjab police is having a tough time checking bikes with loud exhausts. Supreme Court's old order about the use of loudspeakers at night opted for early retirement, it seems. German laws prohibit hammering, drilling, sawing at home on Sunday. Psychologists have speculated that noise is a way of marking territory. On the road, in a train, late at night, the loud man or woman throws down the gauntlet to everyone else. But most people are averse to picking up the gauntlet. So, noise wins mostly. A scabbard may be made to fit two swords after all. Thanks for listening. Scabbard, SCABBARD, scabbard means a cover for the blade of a sword or dagger, usually made of leather or metal. Throw the gauntlet means to invite someone to fight or compete with you. Thanks for your attention.